So when I said no more skipping, I grossly overestimated my capacity here. We're now a year and a full week ahead of these posts I'm reading in these videos. And if I'm honest, we're probably gonna fall even further behind. Nevertheless, we can still enjoy them. It's day 5. Saturday, 21st March 2020, day 5. Today was not a good day. It's better now, as I sit here at 21:57, coaxing lukewarm tea down a throat on strike. Most of my trouble has been resolved, and I will be going to bed a heck of a lot happier than I was an hour ago. If I had to give the day a grade, however, let's just say its parents will not be happy. At the start of the day, I was too tired and in pain to get up. Lou, doing as he had been told to, tried to rouse me at 5:30. I had asked him to wake me that early because I wanted to get a workout in, San Tomi, and then just catch up with housework. My throat had other plans.
You stay put and rest that body, or I will shut you down entirely.
I don't exaggerate. It really did speak to me. Let it not be said that I'm not obedient. I mumbled some nonsense to Lou about sickness symptoms and told him politely to leave me alone. He too is very obedient. I awoke 2 hours later and stumbled to the medicine cabinet for paracetamol. The feeling of squeezing marbles down a Capri-Sun straw was unbearable. Downstairs, Timmy and Tommy were bathed, dressed, fed, and happily watching Peter Rabbit. Lou was in his PlayStation corner, and Timmy was still asleep. Looks like I can still manage that workout. I set up my workout video, but sat for a few minutes still in pain. The paracetamol obviously needed help, so I went in search of ibuprofen.
Yes, I was aware of the advice concerning that.
Absolutely don't take ibuprofen. Fake news. Of course you can take it. Well, actually, we aren't sure, so do what you've been used to. On second thought, not worth the risk. Avoid taking it. I had been informed for sure, but the pain of swallowing was intense, and as there's no other viable route to get sustenance from my mouth to the rest of my body, I needed something else. And that something else worked. Workout done, breakfast had, boys bored. I had managed to convince myself that I was sick enough to not feel guilty about dosing them up on endless TV while I took things easy. I was looking forward to a guilt-free, easy Saturday with distracted boys. When will I learn?
Timmy, please shut the shower door. The water will get everywhere. Tommy, please call him away. Tommy, no, I'm not done showering.
Timmy did what?
Okay, sorry. That was not kind of him. I'm coming down soon to talk to him about it, okay? Timmy, put that down. Thank you for my towel, Tommy. No, I'm still not done. I need to get dressed. Timmy!
I finally managed to pull some clothes together and get downstairs. A soundtrack of whines heralded my arrival. Mummy, you promised we would have pancakes. You said we could build a den. I'm still hungry. Scream and growl. No prizes for guessing who that last one was. I assured them pancakes would be for dinner. I let Tommy retrieve and peel an orange for himself and Timmy, and I set about building a den. One upturned dining table, a few chairs lined up, and 2 old bed sheets draped just so. The den was done. They loved it. I stayed with them long enough to show them how that side there could be the front door, and hey, if they place those cushions over there, that could be the bed. They began to get the hang of it. This will be the back door. This is our TV. So I backed away quietly. Of course, Timmy noticed and followed me. It was just as well though, because his nappy needed changing. By now you're wondering, why was it a bad day? Well, all this while, amidst all the noise from the boys, I was acutely aware of how lonely I felt. It was one thing to have only them to speak to during the week while Lou got on with his work, but today was Saturday, and I maybe kind of hoped he'd be about. As it was, he was in the bedroom upstairs, buried in his phone, having got up to escape Timmy's piercing screams. More about that another day. What about me? Didn't I want to escape sometimes too? How come he got to and I didn't? Besides, it was Saturday and we should be spending time together as a family. What was he even doing on that phone anyway? Here he comes now. What's he doing walking from room to room? What is he typing? Why do I have to ask him to spend time with me? Me? I'm not going to say anything.
I wasn't bitter or anything. Okay, I was.
There was something more pressing to deal with though. There were no nappies in the changing basket. None in the store cupboard either. Thankfully, there were a couple in the baby bag, but those two weren't going to take us anywhere. Drat! This was exactly the type of situation I was hoping not to be in, given that I'd been too principled,
read proud, and stubborn,
to buy more than one packet when I did my weekly shop last Saturday. I was so determined not to be classed among the selfish stockpilers that I did not put a contingency plan in place. Now I had no nappies, and come to think of it, milk, eggs, yogurt, and fruit were running low. I had preached to all that would hear that stockpiling was unnecessary, and that if one had to be isolated, all they needed to do was depend on family, friends, neighbors to get their shopping. Besides, there was always online shopping. There was only one problem. The good preacher, me, had no family nearby, friends who were mostly also self-isolating, and neighbors I didn't know well enough to ask. Oh, and online shopping? Don't even go there. I needed nappies today, not the 11th of April, at the earliest. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't like there was no one I could call. It was just that my list was long, and surely everyone had lots on their plates. Besides, there were more people in need than we. I went to talk to Lou about it. My bitterness was not that bad. And we kind of got to a point where we thought, I beg, we'll just go ourselves. We'll just try to stay far away from everyone. It would be me to go though, I insisted. He could talk about his asthma being mild as much as he wanted. I wasn't going to hear anything. Neither was I ready to give any sad interviews. I was just starting to feel a niggle of guilt for considering breaking isolation when ST, Pastor A's wife, called. She was returning my call and, of course, she could go to the shops for us. She was going to be in town anyway, getting stuff for others. Send her a list and she'll get what she could. I was grateful and relieved. Sure, it would have been nice to leave the house. Sure, it would have been easier to just go and see for myself what was out there and pick up the things I needed. Sure, I didn't want to have ST going from store to store looking for our essentials when she herself needed to be socially distancing. But I feel strongly about each one of us doing our best to curb this spread. And even if we're mostly sure that the boys did not have COVID-19 and that my swollen glands are not part of the symptoms, there was still a chance, and I cannot defend ignoring that chance. ST was a gem. She kept calling to check if we were okay with this or that alternative, with this or that price. I felt awful for putting her out, but I was truly thankful. Also, even though I was still really disgusted by it, I could start to understand why people felt the need to stockpile. And if I'm being truly honest, being that NM, who I'd also called earlier, sent her husband over with 2 packs, just as ST was getting the ones on my list, I stockpiled a bit on nappies. Do you blame me? Shopping put away, ST thanked profusely from a safe distance and waved off. I went back to my lonely day. Tommy and Timmy were napping, and Timmy was happily drawing an alien with 166 arms and 87 tubbies. Lou was back to his PlayStation. So me and my painful throat curled up on the sofa to try and get a nap in. The dishes by the sink and the rice grains on the floor called, but I let voicemail pick up. At about 4 p.m., I sent Timmy to wake his brothers up. It was getting dangerously close to bedtime, and if I'd let them sleep any longer, they would have struggled to get to bed. They were understandably lethargic, so I told Google to play some of their favorite dance music and I jumped around with them. The twirling was fun, and even Timmy joined in. But 2 bumped heads and a few tears later, it was time to do something else. I suggested taking some books into their den to read together, and they were excited about it. That was until they got downstairs and Daddy said he would let them play a few rounds of Gran Turismo on the PlayStation. Suddenly, reading was boring. No matter, I needed to make a start on dinner anyway. Dinner was pancakes, and when they grew tired of racing virtual cars and wandered into the kitchen, I let them help with the mix. I'm glad I did, despite my reservations that it would all end up on the floor, as it cheered me right up. Lou and I weren't really talking by this point. It was one of those situations where no one could really say why, but the atmosphere was simply as thick as cold porridge. During dinner, we spoke to Mummy, Daddy, Auntie E, and Gigi Pa, so I was perking up even more. But the bath and bed whirlwind knocked me right back down. Once the boys were in bed, I was prepared to find a room where I could self-isolate in my isolation and languish in self-pity. However, Lou led me to the sofa, asked me to stay there, and came back a few minutes later with 2 cups of tea. It was time to talk. He apologized for being distant the whole day, explaining how the pressures, COVID and non-COVID related, surrounding us had weighed him down and how he had just spent the day searching for an escape. He recognized how that would have made me feel and admitted that it wasn't fair. I told him how lonely I'd felt and how I would have preferred if he'd spent the day with me and the boys. He explained how he felt a little alone with the pressures of our move. He said he'd spent the day making an inventory of what needed to be fixed, dismantled, repainted, moved. Ooh, that's what he was doing, typing from room to room. And had felt like it was all on him, that I wasn't as interested or involved as he would like. I explained how I felt the same about trying to engage and educate the boys, that it was all on me, and he wasn't as interested and involved as I would like. We talked some more, and it became clear that our biggest problem was failing to communicate our misunderstandings of each other. We each felt isolated in more ways than one, and realized that we needed to draw nearer in this time when distance was the instruction. I'm glad Lou, being the way he is, insisted that we talk. I'm a suppressor, and I would rather prise all my toenails off by hand than engage in a confrontation. Wallowing in resentment and self-pity and then telling myself I've let it go is my way of dealing. Lou is the opposite, and I'm grateful to God, although sometimes mortified, for his determination to confront. As he said, I was emitting my feelings into the air as I walked around the house. Maybe that I thought I was disguising my bitterness. Continuing to talk, both to each other and to God, about our insecurities, resentments, and anxieties is the only way we're going to survive this immensely uncertain time. COVID come and go, we need to stay together. Stuck in here for 9 more days? I'm glad we realized this before the end of day 5. I hope you enjoyed that. If you're a stickler for routine, you probably noticed that I changed my reading position today. Why? No reason. I just thought it'd be more comfortable. Let me know if you prefer one or the other, or if it makes no difference, or if you even noticed. But anyway, see you tomorrow. Bye.